Rev up your engines. Okay, time for a little maintenance on the Tacomas, the 4-cylinder and the V6. Show some of the differences between them. So here we go. Now with modern cars, the most important thing is to change the oil regularly. I don't care what they say, I do every 5,000 miles or once a year. Always use the right oil. This is 0 W20, so you have to use synthetic oil because that's the only one that's 0. I'm using Pennzoil. Why am I using Pennzoil? Because it's good oil and because it's on sale at Walmart. So I buy it there instead of having to pay tons more. If I find the same thing at an auto parts store, it's 20 bucks more than what it costs at Walmart. I'm filming, so I jacked it up. It's a truck, you don't have to jack it up, but I'm filming, so I jacked it up in the air. We'll throw the oil drain pan under there. Use a giant extension bar and socket so it's easy to get them off. Sometimes those nuts are hard. With a big extension bar, it's easy. Oil drain pan's simple. There's the bottom of the oil pan. There's a 14mm bolt. You can see with a long cheater bar, getting it loose is nothing. Then we can just use our fingers. Out comes the dirty oil, and it is black. This is a work truck. Now you can see you gotta put a shiny new gasket on here. You always want a new gasket. Now, if you have time on your hands, you could wait for hours and hours, but it'll drip like this for a really long time. Once it starts dripping and most of it's in here, you can put the bolt back on. Unless you want to wait forever for it to finish draining. All you gotta do is get it nice and snug. Now you don't want the thing falling off. It's easier to do with two hands, but I'm filming with one and holding with the other. So what you do is, now it's getting tight. Do it a little bit more to make sure it doesn't come off. And then wipe the crap off here so it doesn't drip and you think you screwed something up. Now it's good to plan ahead. So this takes 6.2 quarts of oil. You can look it up ahead of time. And this particular oil filter. Now, I'm using a high-end Tough Guard filter. You don't want to use a cheap filter. The cheap filters are only good for about 3,000 miles. These are rated at 10, but I change them every 5. You don't want to be stuck. Now, of course, buy it ahead of time, because if this is your only vehicle and you got it out of oil, how are you going to get the oil and filter? Now, this isn't one of those horrible canister filters. It's a regular one, so I got a special tool to get it off. As you can see, this fits right over. So we put it on the old one to get it off. You don't need it to put it on, but it's to take it off. Filter's right up there, that black thing. Then when you turn it, it turns the filter on the top. We got it loose, so once it's loose, we can do it by hand. Now it's easy, it'll just spin off. We'll let it drip a little first to get the residue out. Before I put the new one on, we'll dip it in the oil a second. That way, the seal has oil on it. Otherwise, it might stick on and be hard to get off. Then you tighten it with a rag as tight as you can get it. The wrench only goes one way. It doesn't put it on, it takes it off. Super tight now. We might as well look around. I don't see any oil leaking. I don't see any cracked bushings or anything. Boot on the power steering's good. Everything looks good. Now in this case, it takes 6.2 quarts. So there's 5 in here. Pour that in first. And you're really better off with the giant funnel so it doesn't spill. I love giant funnels. And here we go. Go slow, don't spill it. Take your time. That's the advantage of the big funnel. It won't fall out like a little one and you got a wide hole to pour it into. Now we'll let it down and start it up, let it sit about 5 minutes. Now since it takes 6.2 quarts, we'll measure it now and add a little. It needs about 2/10 of a quart so that it's on the line. We'll recheck it. Now as you can see, it's all the way up here to the top line. It ends at the top line. And of course, don't forget to put the cap on tight. And while we're up here, we'll just kind of look around. Quarter fluid's low, so we'll put some in. So we'll fill this up. Looks pretty empty. Probably take the whole thing. Yep, it's taking the whole thing. Now, before we get to the TRD Tacoma, we'll go back to this old 2017 plain Tacoma. Show the differences. As you can see, it's full of things. Tools, toolbox, bunch of crap. Kumo tires, they're great tires. They've held up quite well. Fancy tail light that I tried out, it's nice too. But it's a work truck. It does have a trailer hitch for hauling small stuff, but nothing big like the TRD. And yes, not a race truck. It's relatively slow, but it's a good, reliable work truck. This 2017 is probably one of the best trucks Toyota ever made. For a truck this size is a work truck. It just runs and runs and runs. It's not going to win any races other than the race of time to see how long it can last. You don't need a 6-cylinder engine if you're just twiddling around. We're not pulling much of this thing, carrying tools, driving around. It's It's not going off-road. It's just two-wheel drive, where the TRD's four-wheel drive. You know, what do you really need? Very simple engine, easy to work on. Not that you need to work on it much because it's a Toyota, but not uncommon for these things to go 500,000 miles or more. I saw one had 1,100,000 miles on it. Simple rear-wheel drive. They can run and run and run. Drum brakes on the back, but what do you need for a work truck? It's got discs on the front, and they do 90% of the stopping anyway. It's one of these four bangers. What you see is what you get. A dependable vehicle that can basically run forever with minor maintenance. Now we're turning to a 2022 Tacoma TRD 4x4 Sport. It's a Tacoma, but it's a lot more than the base model. It's really good gas mileage for a V6 engine. It actually gets better gas mileage than 17 with the 4 because it has the modern technology, where that's older and it doesn't have the modern technology. It has the fancy wheels. Those aren't painted, those are alloy wheels. Doesn't have power steering pumps, got electronic power steering, got a very complex fuel injection system that allows it to get really good gas mileage. This has a 6-speed electronically controlled transmission, pretty bulletproof, got nice shifting points. It's not one of those crazy 8 or 9 or 10-speed transmissions that have lags here and there. It's a pretty good unit. Real 4x4, it's 4-wheel drive. It's not all-wheel drive. You can put it in whatever mode you want. 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low. Even though it's new, 2022, I love it. A real parking brake, not one of those electronic crappers. It's got a reasonable amount of room in the back seat. Not as much as a F-150, but still, it's got nice room, comfy seats. And like I say, I added these on. Gave it a nice touch. Just bolt on. Anybody can bolt them on. The bolts holes are already pre-drilled and stuck with rubber caps. You pull them off and bolt them on. Now this truck does have one thing I hate, and that's this. The oil filter is one of those stupid paper oil filters where you got to take the plastic canister off and do it over. It's a messy pain in the butt. These things are stinkers. This tool, you can see, it's a motive tool, metal. Don't get a plastic one, it'll break. This is already going on the plastic part. The metal part will get it off better. Now as we go under, changing the oil itself is the same. That's no difference. It's just the filter that's a big pain in the butt. The air drain plug just comes off, just like any other vehicle. The other pain in the butt is not only does it have one of these dumb filters that's paper that goes inside, but it's hiding in here, so we got to take the splash pan off, which makes it a pain in the butt. Bad design Toyota. So there's one gigantic pain in the butt I could do without. Now we got to get the special tool. Goes right on there. And now we can get it off. And out comes the gloopy mess. And be sure to put the new O-ring on it too. Then make sure it's on nice and tight. And take it off. Now strangely enough, this also holds 6.2 quarts, so good thing these are graduated so you can put 1.2 quarts in easily. We'll start it up and then wait 5 minutes to check it. And now when we check the oil, dried up to the line for full, and it's right. And we'll do a little look around, and I can see the terminal's getting a little corroded there, so clean that off. And that's it. Realize with modern engine like this Toyota V6, changing oil is more important than ever. You ruin one of these expensive engines, the cams get dirty, the solenoids get clogged up, it's going to cost you thousands. Oil changes, do them yourself. Don't even trust the oil change places half the time. They got minimum wage flunky kids working in most of them. You can see how easy it is to do yourself. It's a truck. You don't even have to jack it up in the air. I did because I'm filming. It gives me more room to film. But you don't even have to jack them up in the air. Simple stuff to keep your trucks running good, and you don't have to worry about something serious going wrong just because you didn't do an oil change. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Governor says, Scotty, I got a 2015 Kia Forte, 205,000 kilometers. The rear back pads don't last 2 months, especially the driver's side rear pads. Goes from 100% to bare metal in 2 months. What's wrong? Okay, well, your caliper is probably sticking on. You'd need a new brake caliper. And here's the way you can find out is jack it up and you see, let's say it's stuck. You can't turn the wheel. First thing you do is unbolt the brake line from one side. If you unbolt the brake line, and then it spins freely. It's not the caliper. It means that the master cylinder or the booster system is holding pressure, so they're stuck on, and you'd have to fix that. You do both sides first. Now, let's say both sides, you take off the hose, and they're still stuck. That means the caliper's frozen on, and you need new calipers. And you can buy aftermarket ones. You don't have to buy new ones. There's remanufactured ones that work perfectly fine. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.